I'm Reagan Choi.
And I'm Steve Ela Family Farms. We are a fourth-generation farm here in Hotchkiss, Colorado, on the western slope in Delta County. Been doing farmers markets for 26 years now on the Front Range, and we grow peaches, pears, apples, cherries, plums, we grow those trees this year. We grow beautiful shade trees.
We just wanted to share a little bit about what happened this season with the unique extreme freeze and how that's changed our perspective and plan for the year.
So I think one of the things a lot of people don't realize is the diversity of landscapes in western Colorado where we grow fruit. So if we look at a map of Colorado, so the whole state here, we live in Delta County right in here, friends up in Paonia, friends over in Cedar Edge, down in Olathe, down in one of the canyons. This is the area that got froze out this year. So people in this whole area of Delta County don't have any fruit. However, in the Palisade area, which is down outside of Grand Junction on the east end of the valley, that is where they do have some fruit this year. I've been on this farm for 36 years now. We've definitely had frost years, but we've always had a 10% crop or 15% crop or 20% crop. And this year we have a 0% crop. And it all came in one night. Normally those 10% years, it's because we've had multiple frosts every 5 days or every week or every couple weeks, and it just keeps nibbling away. And this one was just cleared the table in one fell swoop. And I think all the growers were just kind of like, wow, we have just never seen this kind of devastation from one night. I mean, you should see 1,000 apples on that tree, and then we would come in and thin it down to about 100 per tree. But there is, a branch like this, there's just nothing. And that's what we see tree after tree is maybe occasionally an apple here, an apple there. We probably pick 120,000 bushel, and if there are 20 to 40 bushel out on the whole farm this year, that would be optimistic. So, I mean, essentially, while we can find an apple here and there, it's essentially zero crop. We haven't found a single peach on 30 acres, not one. Not a single cherry, not a single plum. Pears are kind of like the apples, like there's one, or two on a tree, and the next tree will have nothing, and another tree will have two, so essentially zero. And they're also misshapen and banged up because the frost also injures the cell of the fruit, so they grow wonky and ugly and things. So it's pretty stunning. Within that week after the frost, I think we're all in communication, like, do you have anything? Do you have anything? And we were making phone calls thinking that we might be able to buy fruit from somebody else to help fill some gaps. And as we made those calls, it was just like, no, we got wiped out as well. And I think that was kind of the shock for everybody. One is the amount of devastation, and then the fact that it was just farm after farm after farm. Normally, a branch like this would have 30 peaches on it. There would be just one. They would just be roped down, and we would have to come through and thin the fruit off to 4 or 5 peaches on this branch. But as you can see, there's nothing the whole tree. 30 acres of peaches, we haven't found a single peach. Not a single peach.
We are all talking about what the ripple effects are for long-term employees who've worked for any of us for, years and years. How do we support the lack of livelihood for all of those folks? What do we look at for the farm to school programs? There was special funding to buy local produce this year. And if we don't have the produce to sell, next year it's going to look like, oh, that funding didn't get used. Maybe the schools don't even need that funding, and it's not because the schools don't need that funding, but that's a community impact for sure. And I think it's worth mentioning the other side of the community, reciprocity. We've had so many people reach out to us with empathy, with concern, with just heartfelt feeling of simpatico. And a lot of folks have wanted to contribute in some way, whether it's through emotional support or financially or through coming to volunteer, to just letting us know we're not alone. And I know the other growers have experienced that too. And it makes a huge difference because this is something that never makes anybody even close to rich. It is an occupation that is full of constant stress and hazards and the potential for utter loss. And to know that there really is a dynamic relationship is a huge part of why it's worthwhile.
Yeah, it does. We've spent 25 years of community, and it, really comes around.
And then that freeze came, and we really fought tooth and nail. We kind of did more than we normally do. It got, I don't know, it's probably a ballpark, but I bet that night alone cost us between $8,000 and $10,000 just fighting fire, or fighting the freeze.
And just like measures to try to prevent.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, obviously the next couple days were like really savage. The next couple weeks were also just, you just didn't know, like it felt kind of surreal. Just like not quite sure what to do, knowing that there was a lot of really important, challenging decisions to make, knowing that there was a lot of triage that needed to happen and not really quite knowing where to start on any of it. You're investing your time and energy to keep the farm running, even though there's no revenue from fruit this year. And then, we're things like this new growth, like this green shoot right here, this will be next year's fruit. So needing to make sure that we're putting on really good, strong growth for next year is also critical. And so, it's not just about maintaining them, but it's thinking about next year and where can we triage? Like, can we use less fertilizer because we're not growing a crop? Can we use no fertilizer because we're not growing a crop? Maybe, but we also have to be thinking about next year's crop. So every block is a little different. Every decision is a little different. Pest management decisions are different. Again, need to be maintaining a good, healthy orchard for the long term, but also trying to be judicious, trying to be conscientious of where we're spending our money to make sure we're not, wasting resources when we don't have the revenue coming from fruit this year. So probably the first really big decision we had to make was about the crew. Like, what were we going to do about the crew? And that was really hard and really challenging. Our H2A crew arrived on March 1st, and so essentially worked for March and April. The freeze happened April 17th, and we had to send them home by May 1st. That was probably the most heartbreaking day I've had on the farm, is sending the crew home. We were able to give them a bonus that was equivalent to about a month and a half's worth of income. That was what after we did all of our budgeting for the year, that was what we figured we could afford. If we could have paid those guys out for the year or kept them on, we would have, but unfortunately the finances of a lost year just don't allow for that. So it comes with this business. The idea that a year like this will come around once in a while. The second piece was really trying to understand how our absence in the market was going to impact people that we sold to, but also wanting to make sure that we were able to do everything we could for the people that count on us. Because just like our workers, we need them back next year. We are incredibly fortunate because for the past 3 years, we've had a relationship with a sister farm of ours called Rancho Durazno in Palisade. So for the past 3 years, we've been marketing our produce together. The one place we don't typically market our produce together is at farmers markets. We maintain our brand identity at farmers markets. But when we sell into the wholesale marketplace, we treat our fruit fungibly, and it's been a huge boon to both of our farms. It's allowed us to approach larger buyers. It's allowed us to offer other buyers greater consistency. It's been a really huge and advantageous relationship. In a year that we have fruit, I would tell you that we are beyond lucky to have a relationship with a farm like Rancho Durazno. Now in a year where we don't have fruit, we have reached the beyond part of that luck. We are beyond the beyond part of that luck, because now we're also going to be able to continue to bring fruit to many of our farmers markets.
I'm going to regret this because it's going to be sour, but I still want to know. Not too far. So after the freeze in April, Harrison had let me know that he was pretty sure that he lost his whole crop. The critical temperature for the fruit at that time of year, when it was like quarter size was 30 degrees, and they saw temperatures way lower than that, 21, 22 degrees. And the farther you are below that critical temperature, the more devastating it is to the fruit. So given the low temperatures that they experienced, he was pretty sure that they had lost it. Spent the next week or so trying not to jump to conclusions and really doing a thorough assessment of what was out there. That looks like going through your orchard and picking fruit and manually cutting into each one to see, is it brown and dead on the inside, or is it still green and viable? I know what that feels like. It's pretty awful to go through and cut fruit after fruit and just see brown, 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 and know that what you're seeing out of the little sample size that you took is what you can expect to see out of your entire crop. So when you're cutting into each fruit and every single one is brown, you have an increasingly bad feeling in your stomach that you just don't have a crop. It's pretty brutal. It's an expected part of fruit farming where we live in some ways. We frequently have cold spring events that will kill part of our crop, but an event like this where the North Fork Valley lost absolutely everything is historic in the worst way. The reason that we can grow peaches here, despite being at really high elevation and having these really variable springtime temperatures, is because we're near this canyon right here. We benefit from something called an adiabatic wind. As the air cools in the Rocky Mountains, it drains downhill. And so it moves downstream down the Colorado River in our case. And when it hits DeBet Canyon, it compresses, and that compression warms up the air by several degrees. So then we end up with like a slow 5 to 7 mile per hour breeze coming out of DeBet Canyon that is warmer than the ambient temperature down here in Palisade. Because peaches and all fruit have such a specific temperature where they're either totally fine or dying, those couple of degrees can really mean a lot. So if we have a temperature down here in the valley that is 29 degrees, let's say, that canyon breeze can bring up our temperature by like 2, 3, 4 even degrees, and can save our crop, and it often does. So a lot of the time we have a cold forecast, but if we have that canyon breeze coming through, then our crops continue to be fine. And that is the main reason why we are able to grow a consistent fruit crop here year after year. So after we kind of had time to absorb that information and realize I have a crop and Top Fruits doesn't, like what are we going to do with that this year? We had a long conversation about, what our priorities are. We want to get fruit to as many of our longtime customers, some of whom have been buying from us for like 20, 25 years. Get them as much fruit as we possibly can because we know that they're counting on it. But also, in addition to working together to serve customers, we are also separately at various farmers markets. On the Front Range, my farm goes to Boulder, Longmont, and the Larimer County Farmers Market in Fort Collins. Harrison is at Lafayette City Park and then the new Harvey Park Farmers Market. And him completely disappearing from those markets for a year would be terrible for the markets. It would be hard on the people who are expecting to be able to come to those markets and purchase. And then it's not great for his farm to just entirely disappear from view for a year and hope that customers are there when he comes back in 2027. So one of our biggest priorities when we talked about okay, what are we gonna do with a single crop and 2 farms worth of customers, is we wanted to prioritize those farmers markets and make sure that we, as a partnership, are consistent with what we're offering. So what we decided to do is to co-brand Top Fruits stands at those 3 farmers markets. And so this year there'll be a Top Fruit / Rancho Durazno stand, and we'll be sending Rancho Durazno fruit there rather than another solution that would be like a farmer buying and reselling from various other farms. To us, it's really important that customers know where their food comes from. we didn't want Top Fruits to just buy and resell and use that as kind of a placeholder. Like, our partnership is really important, and we believe really strongly in how we're producing fruit. So we wanted to keep that same transparency in where the fruit is coming from, which is why we're co-branding those vendor booths this year. They'll be both Top and Rancho Durazno. So it'll look a little different. You'll see purple boxes instead of Harrison's orange and white boxes this year. And we'll be able to fill in and provide fruit through all the markets starting here in June through the end of August. And then once Top Fruits hopefully has like a blossoming bumper crop in 2027, then they'll take over those vendor booths again, and we'll move back to focus on the farmers markets that we've been doing for a long time on our own.